Enshrouded 1.0 hits on October 15th, and with it, we're finally getting a ton of changes. One of the things that I like the most about what Keen has shown isn't even necessarily a new feature. It is how they are handling Updraft. Update number 8 completely changed Updraft by adding a charge up time and adjusting how powerful the movement was. And let's just say players had a ton of opinions. I mean, a lot of feedback about not liking this change, but instead of Keen Games completely reverting it back to what it was or sticking true to their changes, they decided here for 1.0 to give players the choice. In 1.0, you'll actually be able to go into the settings and directly change it to either version you desire, whether that is the slow charge up to make it a little bit more challenging for you and OP according to the developers, or you can revert it back to what it was prior to the update number 8 if you like the way they were functioning previously. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are on that down below. And speaking on player choice, one of the most funniest long-running complaints that I've seen about Enshrouded relates to the character models looking very unproportioned and very Hobbit-like, whether it's their head to body ratio or, you know, how short they are compared to other things, compared to what you would imagine them to be. You name it here, Hobbits have been mentioned over and over again. 1.0 is officially adding a new set of player proportions. So now you can look slightly more like you're saving Embervale and slightly less like you're looking to go on an adventure with Frodo. And what's also nice is your existing character is not screwed either. You'll actually be able to visit Elio, the Barber NPC, and change your proportions without starting over. And the funny part is how excited people are about this. There are comments on this video talking about how the character proportions genuinely kind of ruined the overall experience or their desire to continue playing through the game. And there's other people saying, wait a second, I liked my Hobbit-looking character, don't take it away. Which again is honestly why giving the players the choice and option is absolutely a W here for Keen Games. Now, this next change is much more important to actual gameplay. Currently, if you die during a difficult fight in the game, enemies that you are fighting will immediately return to full health, meaning you can spend several minutes slowly working something down, make one mistake, die, come back, and congratulations, you're starting over from ground zero, chipping away at their health. Well, in 1.0, that is completely changing, as enemies now will regenerate their health back over a set period of time instead of instantly getting it back. So that is absolutely going to change the game here when it comes to players progressing and getting hung up on different stages in the game because they continue to die, whether they're halfway or a third there, and having to rinse and repeat that process. The devs stated that they are still doing a lot of internal testing around this to really determine on how fast the regeneration should be for the health, and if they can find the right balance here, I think it'll make these more challenging fights less frustrating without making it easier. And speaking on bosses, this is a great lead into the really big change they announced for 1.0, and this is going to be a quick spoiler alert here for anybody that has not played the game yet. We have some changes for the Fell Dragon Youngling. So first up, the bugs. They claim they have fixed all of the different bugs related to the dragon, and they currently said it should not randomly regenerate its health back again or snap back to full health. It should not be frozen in the air. It should not be hung up on different locations, and you should not be able to snipe it from different areas outside of the arena. Secondly, they mentioned that they are going to be expanding the arena size, making it a little bit easier to stay on the arena's edge when the dragon does the push ability. All right, a lot of people were complaining that if you do happen to get hit by that, it immediately knocks you off. Well, that should now be fixed. And third, when it comes to balancing the entire fight and your playstyle, they also talked about adding another phase, a grounding phase here for the dragon, that melee players will have a window of opportunity to do damage by hitting him on their feet when he does land. And to aid in that, they are going to be reducing the amount of hits or stun that needs to be applied to the dragon in order for it to be stunned. They're going to slightly be reducing its overall total health, so it'll be a little bit easier to take on. However, they are, to balance that out, going to be reducing the amount of damage that you do upon each individual hit to balance out with the lower amount of health. They're going to be increasing its hitbox, so then that way you don't have to be 100%, sniper level accurate in order for you to land a hit, and the dragon should be stunned for a longer period of time. Hopefully they can find the right balance here, and hopefully it keeps players playing the game for a lot longer. Next up, let's talk about NPCs, because every player pretty much has a love-hate relationship. If you have done any building inside of Enshrouded, you have noticed that their AI pathing sometimes can get a little bit wonky. Well, Keen Games knows this, understands that, and basically has seemed to provide, they claim, every fix that they currently have been, exposed supposed to or know of. And based on the responses here, a lot of players seem to be very happy with this change. And last but certainly not least, fishing got a major deep rework as well, pun intended here. One of the biggest differences mentioned is actually relating to how your bait performs. The bait will predetermine basically what you are catching off of the resources required from the biome that you collected those resources to craft that bait, not the actual location or water that you're fishing in. So instead, specific fishing spots or locations will no longer influence the type of fish that you catch. They'll actually influence whether you catch a higher percentage of catching treasure or trash, and or how many fish are actually biting in that set amount of water compared to not biting. And for me, this one's interesting, and I don't seem like I'm alone here based on the responses in the comments. I am very curious to know why they decided to make the bait determine the type of fish or potential, pool of fish that you can catch compared to the actual location or region that you are doing the fishing. So I hope that no matter what happens, whether players really like this change between the bait or the location, that in general it makes fishing much more of an enjoyable, pleasurable experience. And this is apparently only the beginning of what we can expect here for Enshrouded's 1.0 launch. King specifically stated that we're going to be hearing from them for the next several weeks leading all the way up to October 15th. And just taking a look here at the comments, there are definitely a few topics that people really want to hear about next. Everything from performance being one of the biggest ones, Steam Deck support continues coming up. We've got people asking about crossplay features. Xbox players understandably want more information on if the game is launching on the Xbox platform, because up to this point we've only heard about PlayStation. Others are waiting to hear things around combat, loot changes, building improvements, character additional customization options, creative options, and just a bunch of other things. And just to be clear here, King did not address any of these things that I mentioned in this video. However, that does give us hope for them watching the comments and then cherry picking what they would like to reveal or update here for 1.0 in the weeks leading up to October 15th. As always, guys, I want to know what your thoughts are. Are you waiting to dive into 1.0 for the very first time, or are you a returning player that has been saving a full fresh playthrough to go as soon as the update does go live? Let me know down below in the comments.